complex and compound sentences. In this lesson, we shall learn more about complex sentences. And in order to do so, we must remember what a clause is. We learned previously that a clause is a group of words containing a verb. Here we have three clauses. The first one, who is fat? The second one, the man laughed. And the third one, because he was late. Each of these is a clause because they contain a verb and they are groups of words. So who is fat? The verb is, the word is, the verb to be. The man laughed. Here, the verb is laughed because he was late. Here, the verb is was. So we know now and remember now that a clause is a group of words which contain a verb. Well, when you look at these three clauses, we know that if a clause can stand by itself to give a complete and ordered structured meaning, then that clause is also a sentence. So when you look at these three clauses, who is fat, the man laughed because he was late, which of them do you think is a sentence? Which of these three clauses could stand by itself if we added a full stop and a capital letter at the beginning? Well, I'm sure you got it. The man laughed makes complete sense by itself, and so it is what we call a main clause. So a main clause is a clause that can stand by itself as a sentence to give a complete idea and make sense all by itself. If we said who is fat, it would leave us wondering, what is the subject here? What are we talking about? Because he was late. Again, it doesn't convey a complete idea. But the man laughed expresses a complete idea. It can stand by itself, and so it is a simple sentence. The man laughed because of the clown becomes what we call a complex sentence. And it's a complex sentence because it is more than a simple sentence. The simple sentence, which contained the main clause, the man laughed, can stand by itself. And when we add because of the clown, that clause is then called a subordinate clause because it can only make sense when it is part and working with the main clause. So in other words, we can say that the main clause can stand by itself and give a complete idea, a complete meaning, whereas the subordinate clause needs the main clause in order for it to make sense. So in this complex sentence, the man laughed because of the clown. The first clause, the man laughed, can stand by itself because of the clown is what we call a subordinate clause. So here's another example. Kofi, who is my friend, won the quiz. Well, the main clause is Kofi won the quiz because that can stand by itself and convey a complete idea as a sentence should. Who is my friend tells us more about Kofi, but it isn't needed in terms of the main clause. But who is my friend could not stand as a sentence by itself. So again, we understand that the main clause is the part of the sentence that could stand by itself, and the subordinate clause is the part that needs the main clause in order for it to make sense. So a complex sentence is a sentence made up of a main clause and one or more subordinate clauses. Remember, though, that the main clause can stand as a sentence in its own right, whereas the subordinate clause needs the main clause in order for it to make sense.